Call the Finance Committee to order. First on our agenda is approval of the September 2nd minutes. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is the update. Mrs. Bartlett. Good.
Good evening, everyone. Included in your packets is the year-to-date financials for September. Right now, since we have, I believe, 53 open positions, we're seeing a lot of people come in with lower rates of pay. I don't see anything relative to a budget freeze. Right now, we're moving right along. Everything, even our utilities, our electricity and natural gas is not coming in as high as we had anticipated, although we have grant funding for those overages. So I think right now we're in good shape. Just when February 1st comes around, when we find out how many teacher retirements we have, that's when we can really see what our bottom line will be.
Okay. Any questions?
Are we under, I know we're under a natural gas contract for pricing.
Yes.
How long is that in effect?
That one goes till 22, actually next spring.
Great.
Yeah, and actually, usually right prior to that, I'll receive a call from the vendor to say, hey, you want to re-up for another 2 to 3 years? And they give me a whole analysis as to whether it'd be the same price or maybe something lower. And then if it comes out higher, then I start going out to other vendors to see how well they can do.
So we're protected pretty much right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mrs. Clark? Okay. Thank you, Linda. Next item on the agenda is the 2023 tuition rates, elementary, middle, high school.
Yes, so included in the packets is also each year, as many of you may know, we set the tuition rate for Wakefield so they can utilize that rate for their budgeting process. Right now, going through the same process with the calculation, I'm recommending elementary $16,138.60. Middle, $16,318.75, which is, a 7.7% increase. And high school is $15,475.44, which is what Wakefield would utilize, and it's a 3.3% increase.
Make a motion to accept the elementary, middle, and high school tuition rates as
All right.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Next item on the agenda. Sorry, went the wrong way. 2022 special ed tuition rates.
So at the same time, what we do is also set the fiscal year, or the current fiscal year, special ed tuition rate for any student who needs to come into our district, but is another district is responsible for the payment of that. And actually, we do have one, possibly two. And they are in agreement with the $29,301.61 is what we're recommending.
We'll carry that rate for that entire year.
That's correct,
Okay.
yes.
Any questions? Okay, is there a motion?
Let's make a motion to accept the fiscal year 22 special education rate.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is financial items from personnel. I don't believe there were any. Okay. So we'll move past that to building, and we had one, if I'm correct, the amount of $26,258 to North Shore Wholesale for the 15 feet of cafeteria equipment. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
And a second. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, we had nothing from 5 year, Ms. Stokes, correct?
Correct.
Okay, any from public comment? Okay, any under other? Yep.
Kyle, on September 24th, we get an email about the federal fiscal monitoring report. Are we running, it was just confusing, so I didn't know if we were addressing that in any committee meeting.
Linda reached out because we had a bunch of audits and different things, and so we actually were confused about what this person was asking because we had already addressed one of her concerns, but then Linda reached out again so she can give us an update.
So last spring, we did have a federal compliance audit. And what they did was select back in 2019, I believe it was about 12 grants. And they picked bits and pieces, and then we had to give the backup. And so we have 3 findings from the audit. And so we just have to pull together what our action plan is, and then submit it by April of next year. So really, there was 3 findings. 2 of them were based on our purchasing policies. And when we go out to bid, we do a financial, as you see, we put the bids together, we analyze them, but they want actual, these people sat down, analyze the numbers, and really do a huge analysis. So they're recommending that, to put that into our policies and procedures. The 3rd finding was time and effort when someone is split between grants. There was just a couple people that were missed. So they want us to put a policy, a procedure together to make sure we don't miss them again.
Can I ask another question? How many grants do we currently have? I know they went through, you said 12 or 15. How many grants do we currently?
Well, currently we have actually grants from 18-19 still open because they gave us additional money. And they keep adding it to a previous grant rather than put it in new. So we actually probably have at least 30 open right now that we're still administering.
So are we looking at the ones that they didn't look through and making sure that we're following the right policies and procedures for those as well? Or are they not going to come and audit us again? So I'm just making sure, like, if they come and audit us again and pick another 12, that we're aligning what we did wrong with all the other 30 grants.
Well, I hope they don't come again. But yes, they'll move forward, they won't go back. So what will happen is, once we put our action plan together and then give them the documents associated with the procedures, they'll move forward, they won't go back to the other grants.
Okay. Only because the amount looked quite a bit, I think it was almost 500,000, so I was like, we won't lose that money, correct?
Oh, no, that was due to the Chromebooks bid, yeah.
Okay.
And the Chromebooks bid, we received, I don't know, probably 10 to 12. And they were looking for a financial analysis as to why we selected, the lowest bidder.
Okay.
But they wanted more information.
Okay.
Good application.
And then my last question, just because it was very confusing, you mentioned the purchasing policy, is that something that's going to go through the policy committee, or is that like a?
Our purchasing policy is really a purchasing procedure.
Okay.
So typically it doesn't go through, we could certainly do it that way, but it's a 35-page document of all our purchasing and how we go through the city and our financials and how we get to actually expending it, so.
No, I'm not on policy, I'm not suggesting, maybe you can give it to Tom, he's on there, but I just wanted to make sure, ow, that really was hurt. I just wanted to make sure that I was reading the email correctly and that there wasn't anything that the board needed to address.
No, it was very confusing, yes, so a couple phone calls had to be made to see what was going on.
All right, thank you, that's it.
All right, Mr. Bollier.
Yeah, I just also wanted to I'm glad Mrs. Stokes brought that up, and just some clarity out there so everybody at home that watches all of us debate these things all the time. the Fed level for audits, it's not just unique for education. There's a lot of, everyone goes through in different industries, but in particular, bid processes or financial analysis has been a hot topic on the Fed level. For any decisions, where's your data coming from to justify your expenses? So it was very familiar to get one of those and to read it and go, huh? Until you dive in.
That's
So
exactly my face when
it's
I-
a normal process that you went through. We all would go through, and then it's, as Mrs. Marla did, give them a call, verify, and then we have our findings, and as she reported, after you set the date, they would look at going forward, because if they look at 2020, they might see the same practices, so that's why they would move forward, so.
Thank
And
you.
yes, we hope that, do they come annually?
That was the first client's audit.
Okay.
They have a whole new group up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Typically, multiple school districts get the same grant. It's just supposed to-
Right.
All
Thank
right.
you for that clarification.
Anything else under other? Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.